You had plenty of chances to cooperate, son. Now stand there and keep quiet.
I just want a phone call. That's my right.
You'll get it when I say.
No, I get it.
Watch
now.
your tone.
I'm calling
you keep
my
pushing.
lawyer.
That's resistance.
I said get your hands up!
Greg, listen up. Camera's on, man.
They slammed a black man against the cold jail wall like he was trash. His bare feet slid on the dirty floor. The white officer holding him sneered and said, "You're in my house now, boy." The other cops laughed. But none of them knew the truth. This quiet black man, this man they mocked, shoved, and insulted, was not some random suspect. He was the highest decorated youth volunteer in East Baton Rouge, the man the mayor once called the backbone of the community. He had trained half the city's kids how to stay off the streets. And in less than 10 minutes, the whole parish would know exactly who they had just assaulted. Before we go deeper, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more powerful real-life stories. And drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Now, let's get back to the story. Turn around. Officer Craig Dempsey barked, shoving Jamal Rivers hard into the booking table. Jamal didn't fight, didn't raise his voice, didn't even look at the angry white officer in the face. He just stood there, shirtless, breath heavy, hands up, trying to keep calm. "I told you," Jamal said softly, "I didn't break into anything. I was jogging. That's all." Dempsey leaned in so close Jamal could smell the coffee on his breath. "You think I believe that?" he spat. "At night? In this neighborhood? Try again." Jamal swallowed hard. The room fell silent except for the buzz of old fluorescent lights. 3 other officers stood watching, some pretending to type, others pretending this wasn't happening. But it was. And it was being recorded. A camera on the far wall blinked quietly in the corner. The tension in that intake room felt like the air before a storm. Thick, hot, dangerous. Jamal Rivers wasn't just a random suspect. He was 27, tall, with calm eyes and a strong build from years of coaching kids basketball. He grew up in a community that knew pain, police raids, poverty, missing fathers, but he rose above it. He worked 2 jobs. Coached 5 days a week. Caretaker for his sick mother. People loved him. But tonight, he was standing shirtless in black sweatpants, barefoot on a cold concrete floor, looking like nothing more than a scared young black man in jail. He looked ordinary. And that was the problem. No one in that room knew the real him. Not his awards. Not his work. Not his history. Not what he had survived. And certainly not what he was capable of. Dempsey circled Jamal slowly, like a lion sizing up prey. "You people always got stories," he said. "Always innocent. Always victims." Jamal stared at the ground. "Look at me when I talk, boy." Jamal lifted his eyes, but the look wasn't fear. It was disappointment. Pain. Silent pain. Dempsey hated that look. He shoved Jamal again, harder this time. One officer standing by the door shifted uncomfortably. Officer Marin, older, gray hair, opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but then he closed it. No one wanted to step in. No one wanted to challenge Dempsey. He was the old-school type, a former Marine, high-ranking, respected, feared. He was also the kind of man who thought the world was better before protests ruined everything. "Tell me again why you were running," Dempsey sneered. "I told you. A student of mine called. He was scared. I went to check on him. They live behind the..." Slam. Dempsey slammed Jamal into the wall, forearm across his chest. "Liar. I'm not lying. You're lucky I didn't shoot you out there." The officers watching didn't move, but their eyes widened. This wasn't routine. This wasn't questioning. This was hate. Pure old-fashioned hate. Jamal breathed deeply, trying not to break down. "I just want to call my lawyer," he said quietly. The whole room froze. Dempsey stepped back, then laughed, a loud, cruel laugh. "You? A lawyer? Please. You can't even afford a shirt." The officers laughed with him. Jamal didn't. "Hand me the intake form," Dempsey snapped. Officer Marin handed him the clipboard. Dempsey scanned the page. Says you coach kids. That true?" "Yes," Jamal whispered. "Bet you teach them to hate police, right?" "No. Bet you tell them we're the enemy." Jamal shook his head. "I teach them to stay alive." The room fell silent. That sentence hit the wall like a gunshot. Dempsey didn't like it. He stepped forward again, grabbed Jamal by the throat, and forced him against the wall. "You trying to be smart with me?" he hissed. Jamal's feet rose slightly off the floor. He clawed at Dempsey's arm, trying to breathe. The officers watched. No one moved. No one spoke. The camera blinked on. Even as Dempsey's hand tightened. Even as the humiliation got worse. Even as the room closed in on him. He did not break. He had faced harder things. He had once pulled a bleeding teenager out of a drive-by, held a dying kid's hand until the ambulance came, stopped 2 gangs from fighting on his court. He knew fear. He lived with pain. But he did not let hate change him. Not then. Not now. What are you hiding? Dempsey asked, face twisted with anger. Nothing, Jamal gasped. People like you are always hiding something. Marin looked down at his boots. The female officer on the computer typed slower and slower, pretending not to see the assault happening 2 feet away. Another officer leaned back, sighing, wishing he were anywhere else. But none of them said a word. Jamal felt the world blur. Not from fear. From sadness. This was America. His America. And this was how he was treated. Again. Last chance, Dempsey growled, letting Jamal drop to the floor. Tell me why you were really there. Jamal coughed, holding his throat. I told you the truth. Dempsey grabbed him by the hair. You think the world cares about your truth? Jamal closed his eyes. No, he said, voice steady. But they're about to. The officers exchanged looks. What did he mean? Why did he sound so calm? Dempsey shoved him toward the holding bench. You're nobody, he barked. Jamal sat down slowly, back straight, eyes steady. He wasn't nobody. And in a few minutes, the whole room would know exactly who he was. Officer Marin's walkie-talkie buzzed suddenly. A voice crackled through. We have a situation. The mayor is on the phone. Says he's coming here personally. Something about a youth coach being arrested by mistake. Dempsey froze. The officers froze. And Jamal smiled for the first time that night. Officer Craig Dempsey stood frozen, jaw tight, eyes darting between the walkie-talkie and Jamal Rivers, who sat on the cold bench like a man who knew exactly what was coming. The intake room suddenly felt smaller. Hotter. Quieter. Officer Marin swallowed hard and repeated the message. The mayor, he's on the way. Dempsey snatched the radio from Marin. What? What? For who? Marin didn't answer. He didn't have to. Dempsey turned slowly toward Jamal. The young black man didn't stand. Didn't flinch. Didn't smirk. He just watched Dempsey the same way he watched broken kids at the youth center. Quiet, patient, disappointed. And that made Dempsey even angrier. What did you do? Dempsey snapped. Who did you call? Jamal's voice was soft but firm. I told you. I wanted to call my lawyer. Dempsey scoffed. You don't have a lawyer. You're right, Jamal said. I have something better. The door at the end of the hallway slammed open so hard the walls shook. Mayor Roland Dupree, short, heavy-set, sleeves rolled up, stormed in with 2 city aides trailing behind him. His face was red, sweaty, and furious. Where is he? Dupree shouted. Where is Jamal Rivers? Every officer in the room pointed at the same man. Jamal. Dupree rushed to him, pulled him up gently, and looked him over like a worried father. Oh my God, Jamal, he whispered. What did they do to you? Jamal said nothing. The bruise on his throat said enough. Dempsey stepped forward, forcing authority into his voice. Mayor, sir, we detained this man on suspicion of... Dupree spun toward him, eyes blazing. Suspicion of what? Being black while jogging? The room went dead silent. Officer Marin stared at the floor. The female officer stopped typing and covered her mouth. Dempsey's face turned red with embarrassment. He matched the description of... Don't you dare, Dupree snapped. I know this man. I've worked with this man. He's the reason half our kids aren't in gangs right now. The air shifted. Every officer in the room looked stunned. Except Jamal. He had known this moment was coming. Dupree turned to the officers. You know what Jamal did last month? He saved a 14-year-old who got shot outside his school. He patched the boy up with his own shirt and carried him 2 blocks to help. He's been honored 6 times by this city. Dempsey blinked, trying to catch up. He looks like a suspect, he muttered. He looks like a hero, Dupree fired back. And you, the mayor stepped toward Dempsey, put your hands on him? Dempsey opened his mouth, but Dupree cut him off. Oh no, don't try to lie. We checked the cameras the second I got the call. I watched you slam him by the throat. The room turned to glass. Every sound died. Jamal breathed slowly, calm, steady, like a man who had finally stopped drowning. Dupree turned to the aides. File the report. Right now. Officer Craig Dempsey is suspended immediately. Dempsey lost it. You're gonna believe him over me? I serve this city. No, Dupree said coldly. You serve your ego. The other officers stepped away from Dempsey as if he carried a disease. Even Marin, who feared Dempsey for years, finally found his voice. Sir, he said quietly, Maybe it's time? Dempsey glared at him. Don't you start, he snapped. You're only saying that because he's. Everyone turned sharply. Finish that sentence, Dupree dared. Dempsey shut his mouth. He wasn't stupid. He knew the walls were closing in. Escort him out, Dupree ordered. Two officers stepped forward, relieved to finally have permission. Dempsey tried to pull away, but they took him by the arms. Not roughly. Not violently. Just firmly. The same way he had manhandled Jamal minutes earlier. People watching might have thought it was karma. It was. When the door shut behind Dempsey, the room released a breath everyone had been holding. Officer Marin stepped forward, voice trembling. Jamal? I'm sorry, he said. I should have stepped in. Jamal nodded slowly. I appreciate that, he said softly. But you should have stepped in when it mattered. Marin's eyes filled with guilt. The female officer wiped a tear. I didn't know who you were, she whispered. You didn't need to, Jamal said. You just needed to see I was human. Her shoulders dropped. Dupree gently placed a hand on Jamal's shoulder. You all right? We need to get you checked out. I'm fine, Jamal whispered. Just tired. Tired of what? Dupree asked. Jamal met his eyes. Tired of this. Tired of being treated like a threat. Tired of needing a mayor to show up just to be listened to. No one spoke. His words echoed in the intake room like a prayer. Or a warning. Jamal, Dupree said softly, we'll make this right. Jamal shook his head. No. Just make it better. The whole room felt that. Every officer. Every aide. Even the walls. Suddenly the door cracked open again. A teenage boy, thin, shaky, holding a backpack, peeked inside. Coach Jamal, he whispered. Jamal's eyes widened. Caleb? The mayor stepped aside as the boy ran to Jamal and hugged him tight. I called you, Caleb cried. I told you I was scared. I didn't know you'd get arrested. Jamal hugged him back, rubbing his head gently. You did nothing wrong, Jamal said. I'm proud of you for calling. The officers watched the scene quietly. It hurt some of them, softened others, shamed all of them. This wasn't a criminal. This was a protector, a mentor, a light in a dark neighborhood. And they had thrown him in jail like trash. As Jamal walked out of the station with Mayor Dupree and Caleb, he paused at the door. He turned back toward the officers watching him. I hope you remember something, he said softly. Not every black man running is running from something. Some of us are running to someone who needs us. No anger. No rage. Just truth. Simple. Human. Unforgettable. The officers didn't move. Some nodded. Some looked away. Some looked ashamed. But all of them heard him. Outside, camera crews and neighbors had already gathered. People cheered when they saw Jamal step out, alive, safe, standing tall. Caleb held his hand. Mayor Dupree whispered, We'll fix this, Jamal. Jamal looked out at the flashing lights and the crowd waiting on him. You can't fix everything, he said quietly. But you can start by teaching your people to see us, before they judge us. Dupree nodded. And together they walked down the steps into the crowd. The world would remember this night. Not because Jamal was hurt, but because he stood tall after it. Because he stayed calm when others used hate. Because he showed the city what dignity looks like, even in chains. And because truth, once spoken, does not go away. Jamal looked down at Caleb and whispered, Son, don't ever let the world tell you who you are. Show them. If this story touched you, subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you saw this happening? If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now. Because stories like Naomi's deserve to be heard. And here's the question for you. Have you ever been judged by how you looked before anyone knew who you were? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And remember, standing silent doesn't mean you're weak. Sometimes it means you're winning.